Hill Bend is P3. Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend is 4th. DeWald Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend is 4th. DeWald Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend is 4th. Craig Wesley in McLaren Bend is 5th. Craig Wesley in McLaren Bend is 5th. Ernest Heather is P7. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Ernest Heather is P7. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Ernest Heather is P7. 5 minutes remaining in the session. DeWald Lambert is P4. DeWald Lambert is P4. Ernest Heather in Cooper Strait is P7. Ernest Heather in Cooper Strait is P7. Ernest Heather in Cooper Strait is P7. DeWald Lambert in Brabham Strait is P4. DeWald Lambert in Brabham Strait is P4. Lambert in Brabham Strait is P4. Peter Geldenhuis is 3rd. Best lap is a 0:51.590. Peter Geldenhuis is 3rd. Best lap is a 0:51.590. Peter Geldenhuis is 5th. Best lap is a 0:51.590. DeWald Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend is P4. DeWald Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend is P4. Peter Geldenhuis in Halewoods Hill is 3rd. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. Best lap is a 0:51.583. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. Best lap is a 0:51.583. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. Best lap is a 0:51.583. Dewald Lambert from Bhutan is P4. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. Danny Van Ruyen is P2. The qualification session is at Brands Hatch Circuit in Foxham, Great Britain. The wind speed is 7 km/h from the northeast. Peter Grobler in Brabham Strait is P1. Foxham, Great Britain. The wind speed is 7 km/h from the northeast. Peter Grobler in Brabham Strait is P1. Wind speed is 7 km/h. Ernest Heather from South Africa in Cooper Strait is P3. Ernest Heather from South Africa in Cooper Strait is P3. Peter Grobler in Brabham Strait is A. Peter Grobler in Brabham Strait is A. Peter Grobler is up 15.63 in Graham Hill Bend. Peter Grobler is up 15.63 in Graham Hill Bend. Peter Grobler improved his P1 with a 0:52.223. Dewald Lambert is provisional pole with a 0:52.018. Is P1 with a 0:52. Danny Van Ruyen is provisional pole with a 0:51.846. Craig Westley is provisional pole with a 0:51.716. Straight is P7. Tommy Glad improved his P6 with a 0:52.622. 1.269 off pole. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa in Paddock Hill Bend is fourth. Best lap is a 0:51.802. 0.449 off pole. Leon van Linden from South Africa in Paddock Hill Bend is eighth. Five minutes remaining in the session. Janine Glad from South Africa in Paddock Hill Bend is eighth. Best lap is a 0:55.098. 3.745 off pole. Dewald Lambert from Bhutan in McLaren Bend is P5 up 0.11. Dewald Lambert improved his P5 with a 0:51.918. 0.565 off pole. Janine Glad is P8 up 0.61. Janine Glad improved his 8th with a 0:54.220. 2.867 off pole. Ernest Heather in Graham Hill Bend is 7th up 0.15. Janine Glad in Graham Hill Bend is 8th up 0.17. Ernest Heather in Brabham Straight is 7th. Ernest Heather improved his 6th with a 0:52.562. 1.209 off pole. Janine Glad from South Africa in Clark Curve is 8th. Janine Glad improved his 8th with a 0:53.857. 2.504 off pole. Janine Glad is up 0.50 in Graham Hill Bend. Janine Glad improved is 9th with a 0:53.169. 1.816 off pole. Janine Glad is up 0.05 in Druids Bend. Ernest Heather is P7. Best lap is a 0:52.562. 1.209 off pole. Tommy Glad is 8th. Best lap is a 0:52.622. 1.269 off pole. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands in Graham Hill Bend is 2nd up 0.14. Danny van Rooyen improved is P2 with a 0:51.579. 0.226 off pole. Mike McDeer from South Africa in Paddock Hill Bend is 6th. Janine Glad in Druids Bend is 9th. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Tommy Glad in Halewoods Hill is 8th. Ernest Heather is 7th. Leon van Linden in Druids Bend is 10th up 0.11. Leon van Linden improved is 10th with a 0:54.251. 2.898 off pole. Ernest Heather in Clark Curve is P7. The race session is at Brands Hatch Circuit in Foxham, Great Britain. The wind speed is 14 km/h from the northeast. Peter Grobler is P1. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is second. Craig Westley from New Zealand is P3. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is P4. Dewald Lambert from Bhutan is 5th. Mike McGeer from South Africa is P6. Ernest Heather from South Africa is P7. Tommy Glad from South Africa is P8. Race start. Danny van Rooyen is P1. Craig Westley in Halewoods Hill is third. Peter Geldenhuis in Graham Hill Bend is P4. Tommy Glad in McLaren Bend is 7th. Ernest Heather in Brabham Strait is 7th. Ernest Heather passed Tommy Glad for P6. Tommy Glad in Druids Bend is 7th. Best lap is a 1:01.354. 2.826 off the fastest lap. Tommy Glad passed Ernest Heather for P6. Tommy Glad lost 6th to Ernest Heather. Mike McGeer is 8th. Mike McGeer passed Tommy Glad for P7. Tommy Glad is P8, 0.4 behind Mike McGeer. Janine Glad from South Africa is P10, 0.5 behind Leon van Linden. Danny van Rooyen in Cooper Strait is P2. Best lap is a 0:51.976. 0.438 off the fastest lap. Craig Westley is 4th. Tommy Glad in Brabham Strait is P8, 0.2 behind Mike McGeer. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is 3rd, 0.2 ahead of Craig Westley. Craig Westley in Surtees Bend is P4, 0.4 behind Danny van Rooyen. Tommy Glad is 8th, 0.3 behind Mike McGeer. Danny van Rooyen in Halewoods Hill is 3rd, 0.3 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Craig Westley in Cooper Straight is 4th. Best lap is a 0:52.129. 0.591 off the fastest lap. Danny Van Ruyen is 3rd driving a Morris, 0.4 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Tommy Glad in Brabham Straight is P8, 0.4 behind Mike McGeer. Craig Westley in Graham Hill Bend is 4th. Tommy Glad in Surtees Bend is 8th, 0.4 behind Mike McGeer. Tommy Glad passed Mike McGeer for 7th. Craig Westley is P4, 0.5 behind Danny Van Ruyen. Tommy Glad in Halewoods Hill is 7th, 0.3 behind Ernest Heather. Tommy Glad was 1.0 faster last lap. Peter Geldenhuis is P2, 0.2 behind Peter Grobler. Tommy Glad is 7th, 0.3 behind Ernest Heather. Peter Geldenhuis in Druids Bend on lap 8 is 2nd, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Mike McGeer in Druids Bend is 8th. Best lap is a 0:52.707, 1.169 off the fastest lap. Ernest Heather in Cooper Straight is P8, 0.3 behind Mike McGeer. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa in Halewoods Hill is P2, 0.5 behind Peter Grobler. Danny Van Ruyen is 3rd, 1.0 behind Peter Geldenhuis. Peter Geldenhuis is 2nd, 0.9 behind Peter Grobler. The leader has just finished the race. Peter Grobler finished P1. Peter Geldenhuis finished P2. Danny Van Ruyen finished P3. Craig Westley finished P4. Dewald Lambert finished P5. Tommy Glad finished P6. Mike McGeer finished 7th. Ernest Heather finished 8th. Leon van Linden from South Africa finished P9. Janine Glad finished P10. The race session is at Brands Hatch Circuit in Foxham, Great Britain. The wind speed is 12 km/h from the northeast. Peter Grobler is first. Peter Geldenhuis from South Africa is P2. Danny van Rooyen from Netherlands is third. Craig Westley from New Zealand is fourth. Dewald Lambert from Bhutan is fifth. Tommy Glad from South Africa is P6. Mike McGeer from South Africa is P7. Ernest Heather from South Africa is P8. Race start. Danny van Rooyen is first. Tommy Glad in Halewoods Hill is P4. Dewald Lambert is P5. Ernest Heather in McLaren Bend is P7. Craig Westley in Brabham Straight is P7. Ernest Heather in Halewoods Hill is P5, 0.1 behind Leon Van Linden. Ernest Heather passed Leon Van Linden for P4. Peter Gelden, who is entering the pits, is P1. Ernest Heather is now P5. Tommy Glad is 7th. Tommy Glad lost 7th to Craig Westley. Leon Van Linden from South Africa is P8, 0.1 behind Tommy Glad. Dewald Lambert on lap 3 is P3, 0.5 behind Mike McGeer. Ernest Heather in Druids Bend on lap 3 is P8, 0.3 behind Janine Glad. Janine Glad from South Africa in Cooper Strait is P8 battling Ernest Heather. Ernest Heather was 0.7 faster last lap. Dewald Lambert in Paddock Hill Bend on lap 4 is P3, 0.5 behind Mike McGeer. Janine Glad in Halewoods Hill is P8, 0.2 behind Ernest Heather. Janine Glad lost P8 to Danny Van Ruyen. Danny Van Ruyen on lap 4 is 8, 0.5 behind Ernest Heather. Dewald Lambert is 3rd, 0.4 behind Mike McGeer. Danny Van Ruyen in Druids Bend is 8th, 0.4 behind Ernest Heather. Ernest Heather is P7 driving a Morris, 0.1 ahead of Danny Van Ruyen. Danny Van Ruyen was 1.2 faster last lap. Mike McGeer in Paddock Hill Bend is 3rd, 0.2 behind Dewald Lambert. Dewald Lambert was 0.8 faster last lap. Dewald Lambert in McLaren Bend is P2, 0.6 ahead of Mike McGeer. Mike McGeer in Brabham Straight is P3, 0.5 behind Dewald Lambert. Peter Gelden was exiting pits. DeWald Lambert in Cooper Straight is second, 0.8 ahead of Mike McGeer. Mike McGeer in Paddock Hill Bend is third, 1.0 behind DeWald Lambert. Peter Geldenhuis in Halewoods Hill is P10. Mike McGeer in Halewoods Hill is P3 driving a Marcos, 1.4 behind DeWald Lambert. Danny Van Ruyen in Cooper Straight on lap 9 is 6th, 4.3 ahead of Janine Glad. Leon Van Linden is 9th. The leader has just finished the race. Peter Grobler finished P1. DeWald Lambert finished P2. Mike McGeer finished 3rd. Craig Westley finished P4. Tommy Glad finished P5. Danny Van Ruyen finished P6. Janine Glad finished P7. Ernest Heather finished 8th. Leon Van Linden finished 9th. Peter Geldenhuis finished P10.